everybody, it's Angela again. Welcome back to my channel. If you're an existing subscriber, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to my first tutorial. Today, after putting up a post on Instagram yesterday, I got 100% that everybody who partook, obviously, who asked me to put together a tutorial for my altered envelope that I put on yesterday. So that's what we're going to do today. So I've plucked up the courage and here we go. Right, so here it is, altered envelope. I will say on Friday I did sit and look at a blank envelope for about an hour before deciding what I'm going to do with it. I had been watching Nikki from Musings with Nikki on YouTube. She had put together quite a few lovely ephemera bits using envelopes, or in actual fact I think it was seed packets, and I thought, well, you know, lots of people do things with envelopes, let's see what I can come up with. So this is what I came up with in the end. Right, so here it is, my altered envelope. I've just held it together with a bit of seam binding, and I'll explain to you in a minute how I do that. Here you can see it's using one of Tim Holtz's Sizzix dies, that's on the front. I've made two altered Rolodex cards. These are actually cut out using a Rolodex die that I got for next to nothing, which you can do because I don't really see Rolodex cards in the UK. This is just tea-dyed paper that I've put together to make a booklet, which I've stitched down the middle. And then we have another sort of tuck spot there for two cards that I've just put in there, and a bit of stamping. On the back, I've made my version of a CD sort of pouch, but it's more rectangular. A little bit of clustering over there. And of course, a journaling card that you can put into that section there. Of course now I won't be able to get it in. Right, there we go, so that goes in there. I've also, the way I've glued it, you can use this as a little pocket as well, and I think I've just put in another bird card into that. Okay, so there we go. Just for some of the papers that I've used, let's just put that back over there. I have been loving ARTYmaze's Collage kit, the first one. I have got the second one, but for the colours I was using for this journal, this sort of worked a lot better for me. This is the one that we're going to use for the front of the envelope, and I'll show you how I did that in a minute. So that's the one bit we will need. And this is the other sort of scrappy bits that I've pulled out of my scrapping pile, because you know we've all got those scrappy bits, and I tell you, I started off buying somebody's scrap bits when I first started, and now I have enough for, I don't know, for loads of people. Which is what happens, isn't it? Right, so these are three of the pages. There's quite a few in that kit. It's a beautiful kit, but this is the sage green, sort of tealy blue, and this really bright yellow. So that's what I'm going to use for this pouch. Of course, for the back of this here, I've used this paper, which comes from a beautiful pad, which I have bought. And I do like these people's paper. I used a kit for my bee journal as well, but for this one, the Wildflower Meadow by Hackney & Co. I don't know if you get this overseas, but in the UK this is readily available, and it is a really premium quality paper pack. So just to show you some of the beautiful pictures with all sorts of creatures, I love this. I'm going to use this today as well. Beautiful cards of flowers, really stunning. So I got this through Amazon, I think, and they do quite a few different ones, but this Wildflower Meadow is really gorgeous. So we'll be pulling a page out of that as well today. Okay, so last thing, as I said, I'd tell you a little bit about the seam binding. People have asked me how do I get it so crinkly. You can buy seam binding crinkled already, but the better way for me is I buy it on a card, which is all beautifully smooth and ironed looking. It's only on a card because it was quite a lot, and I love this sage green color. And then what I do is I unwind some, depending how much you want to use. I do this well in advance because I do use it quite a lot for tags and things. Put a little bunch of it in your hand, wet the one hand so it's damp, not sopping, and then grab the bunch in your hand and scrunch it up. Wet the other hand, make it damp, and just make the whole bundle a bit damp. And then what I tend to do is I tend to use a hair elastic or just an elastic band, and I put it together, I bunch it together up like that really tightly, and make little balls of it. And I've got a sort of container over there that's wire mesh, and I just leave them in there for a few days to dry. And when they dry overnight like that, they come out wrinkled like this, as you see it here. So and then it doesn't go straight again, which I don't want it to, so that's how I keep it like that. So that's what I do for the seam binding, if you're interested. Okay, so let's get started with the altered envelope. Now, the envelope that I've used is this one here. Size-wise, I'll give you both sizes. It's just short of 23 centimeters, or if you want inches, that would be 9 for the width. And this way it is just short of 6.5, so 6 and 1, 2, 3, 4 eighths there, or yeah. And then this way I think is 9. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I've used. You could use any size envelope, of course. It doesn't have to be cream, it could be craft color brown, it could be white, it could be anything. This is generally, I like the ivory color of these, and I have a whole bunch of these, and they are really nice quality. So that's what I'm using today. But of course, the papers and the envelope you choose are really your own decisions, depending on what you're making. So that's what I'm using today. Right, so let's get the bone fold out. First thing we're going to do, this will be the top of the envelope for the inside, and then what we're going to do is make sure that is meeting up. That side and that side. There we go. Right, so there we have it. It's folded in half. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our piece of paper, decide which bit you want to have on the front. I'm going to go with the corner as it is over there. Get my pencil out and just measure that little corner there and that little corner there. Right. Paper trimmer. Got to see the little marks first. Right, so I'm just going to cut straight across there, and the other one somewhere over here. You can tear this as well, that would be another option. So there we have that. The rest of the bits I am going to be tearing right into my IKEA hold it all. Right, there we go. Now you can, if you want to, distress the edges. Let's do that then. This is another thing people have asked me, the kind of distress ink that I use. I don't use vintage photo as much really, because I like my pastel shades. I tend to go for antique linen, It gives a far more subtle colour to it, but it does give the more aged page look, but so much more lighter, which I quite like. So I just want to make sure I don't have some, I think I might have used this for the yellow yesterday, so just want to make sure. I think I did. Right, so hopefully that's going to work. So what I do is I just rub that in there like we do, and pick up the paper. Just quickly give that a light brushing, just to get rid of the white of the paper really. Doesn't really show up much. All I'm trying to do here is get rid of the white that shows, or the core of the paper really, when we cut it. So that's all I'm going to do there. Right, so I'll come back to distressing the envelope at the end. Okay, so the trusty glue, 3-in-1. I've opened a new one, so I'm not struggling on the camera here. We're just going to put a bit of that down. Now I'm not doing it putting on loads of glue and worrying about the corners, because in actual fact at the end I'm going to sew it down. That is a choice that is up to each and every one of you, but I do like my sewing. And the cotton that I used for this one that I've shown you is an actual gold colour. So there we go, we have the front of the envelope complete. Okay, right, now the other bit that we need to do is stick on the little Musings frame. As I told you, this is something we all have, and I actually only got this in the week and seen so many people use this, and I thought, well, I definitely have to get one of these. I'm going to put that about there, and what I will do is, before I stick it down, do a bit of the trusty distressing. Sorry, I could have done this before. Right, so that's that. Okay, so that is going to go about there. I'm just checking it out. Yeah, so if I want to put things in the top, I'd have a lot of space for the sort of higher things, so that's where I'm going to put that, over there. So back to the glue. Do it on the edges. Now when I first did this, I wasn't quite sure how it worked, to be honest, but let's just check it out there. Yeah, there you go. You don't obviously glue these because things are going to slot down below that. They are going to slot down a little bit in there as well, but this will be fine. Okay, so just using my finger to make sure all the edges are secure, and there we go. Got the trusty wipe out for the fingers. Right, so there we have the front so far. Now to tackle the little butterfly, and I do love my butterflies in the corner here, I'm going to look for a piece of lace which I have wound on here. And I'm just trying to think. We'll use this one, will be fine. This is really old lace that I was so lucky to pick up. Right, let's get out the shears. Don't need very much at all. That will be enough for that, and we're going to put that in the corner there. There we go. So put the lace aside, scissors away. Right, so we'll stick that over there. Just put it straight onto the and put that over there. Right. I'm not going to put the butterfly on at the minute because I need to go around the edges. So while that's drying, we'll carry on with the rest of it. Obviously the decoration we'll do right at the end. Let's get started now on the bit at the back, the sort of CD bit that I was talking to you about. Right, so the bit that's the front so far. Now we are going to open this up. We're going to be dealing with this bit over here. So what I've done is I've taken a page from the Hackney & Co piece of cardstock, and I've cut a piece here which is pretty double the length of this bit over here. Okay, so we wouldn't want to stick that right at the top because you want to be able to have a tab that's going to stick out over there. Alright, so that's what you need to do, and then of course I've folded that in half. Now the way I get the circle in the front is as follows. I have got these little dies that I bought online for about £1.50. They weren't expensive at all. They do work a treat. Now I don't take the biggest one like a CD size because I wanted to have enough on the edges and be able to see the picture in the middle. So I've sort of positioned it where I wanted it on my cuttle bag, which is what I use. I put it in the cuttle bag, obviously one side out like that. You don't want to make a hole right through both of the pieces. Layer it up and make your hole like that. So that's the way I did it. This one, in case you wanted to know, probably measures from one side to the other just over 3 1/4 inches, or if it's in centimeters, 8 1/2. So that's what I've used for mine. People might have other ways of doing it. I just ran that through, and just for the aid of speed here, you can see that's the result. So that's what I did for that one. Double-sided cardstock, so you see you've got some nice bugs on the inside. So I folded that up, and that's what we have. Now what you need to do is you can take any bit of film or acetate or anything else that you want, that you might have on hand, pieces of packaging, it really doesn't matter. What I did was I've used acetate and taken, just grab a piece here, and what you do is, it's very simple. Just open that up again, leave that to the side. Let's just line that up. Quite hard to see really, but if you've got a Sharpie, you can actually make a little mark on there, and that's where you need to cut it. So that's what we're going to do quickly. So back with a trimmer. Straight down the middle. The Sharpie is nice and easily seen. So there we go. We've got our piece of acetate. Right, so we're going to glue that down. So let's do that. Alright, so straight across on the inside, obviously, in case you're not sure, so I'll say obviously. Right, did I have some glue that should have gone Right, so then we're going to make sure we've got it the right way around, Angela. Yep. And we're going to glue that down. There we go. Right, so now you have your CD, your own little rectangular CD pocket. How's that? Right, now me with my sewing, and I'm going to go off quickly and do the stitching. I'm going to just stitch the surrounds of this pocket here, not across the top. So what I suggest is, this is what I did. I stitched a line across there first, cut the ends off, then I closed it up and I just stitched around that area there. So that's what I'm going to go do now. And then over here I stitched the complete perimeter of that card. So sorry to leave you there. I'll put some pretty butterflies down for you to have a look at while I'm gone. I won't be a sec. You'll hear my sewing machine going. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Right, so let's just cut off the strings here. Okay, we've got all of that sorted. And then our pouch. Generally, I keep all of these strings. Right, so that's it really. Got the dog here drinking water next to me. Okay, so that's everything there. So that's ready for the back, and that would go down over there. Right, now what we need to do with this is, you can see I've stitched across here, and that's going to be a tuck spot for that one, which we'll put a little decoration on. And this one also needs some stitching. I'll get to that as well. And then this needs to be stuck on the back here. Now just remember that you actually are going to have a pocket in this section here. So we are going to glue around those three sides there. So let's do that quickly. So we're going to do that. Just make sure I've got it the right way up. Good to glue on the stitching as well, sort of make sure that that's not going to unravel at any point. Right. Don't like it gumming up the lid, so we just do that quickly. Right, so let's line this up. Remember, you need to have it slightly lower than the front, because we're going to have a tab sticking out there. There we go. So just hold it down for a minute. Take your wet wipe. Wipe off any excess glue that you might see around it. There we go. And that's the back on there. Right. Okay, so far we've got the front sorted, we've got the back sorted. And now what we're going to do is, I think I'll need to go and stitch that bit before I go and do that any further, so sorry about that again. Let's just go and do that. At the same time, you've got to ensure that your Shih Tzu dog has got its toys and growling because its mouse is stuck under the stool. Joy. Right, so there we go. Oh, that's not good. What we do is, we've just missed a little, I've just missed a little bit there. Just put a bit of glue down and that'll sort that out. Right. Okay, we're all up to speed there. Right, so I've just done a bit of a straight stitch around that. There you can see the front now and the back. We've got our little pouch to put our card in there, and we have also got our little pocket over there and our film there. So far so good. Right, now for the inside bit, just to show you again, we've got to put a little bit of decoration on the top there. I have distressed slightly there, 2 Rolodex cards in there, and I've just put in 2 normal cards there with a bit of topping over there. So let's just try and do some of the inside. Right, so over there, I'm going to go back to my original paper that we had, and I'm going to take this little piece right here, and I'm going to just see. Right, quite fancy that bit over there, and let's just see. Right, so all I'm going to do is, with glue all over my fingers, is just tear a piece of this there. I think it was slightly too wide, so we'll go down there like that. See how we're going. We need to, you can use a ruler if you want. I quite like this. I do have a ruler, but sometimes it's just nice to have a sort of freehand result. That's going to go there. It's a little bit short, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of something else. Let's look in the scrap section and see. Right, so you know, we fix everything here. There we go, and that's where it's going to be. Right, job done. You can distress all of this, but I'm not going to bore you too much with watching me distress ink things. You all know how to do that. Right, so that's going to go over there. Let's just take that bit off, it'll annoy me. And then my last little bit here. As I said, this is very light, but I think it goes well with the pastels. Right, so let's stick that little bit up there. This one we're not going to stitch, so make sure you do go quite close to the edge. There we go. It's got to go a bit over that side. That's it. And then that bit doesn't look so great there. Let's just do it straight onto the actual cardboard. There we go. And that can go right over there. We'll have a bit of layering. You're not going to notice it because in actual fact I'm just going to stick one of the butterflies on. There we go. Make sure it's not going to stick over either side there. It looks like it was made to fit. Right, so the other side now, let's see what we can put there. Make sure the writing's the right way up. Okay, this one I will use the ruler. Let's grab one of these. Use my favourite. pull that off, do a quick measure. It's about there. I will tell you, it doesn't really matter so much in this case, but if you are tearing and you have dark paper and you don't want the white to show through, so for example there, if you tear it from the back, you do get far less of the white shining through than if you do it this way. So that's just something I learned, trial and error. Really. Right, so we'll just take this bit off here to give a consistent torn look. Measure across this time, this way, because I don't want the writing upside down. And there we go, just a little bit of inking. Okay, that's a fit, so let's put that down. Close as possible to the edges. Hold it in the middle. Gosh, you've got to have very good fingers for this. Right. There, I got it the right way. There we go. Got to remember which fingers I've got the glue on that I don't want it to stick on. Right, so let's just use our fingers. I love using my fingers for everything, so that's why they're always full of glue. Right, there we go. Little wet wipe there. Right, so that's the inside cover. Now, all I did, as I explained to you, was just a little bit of aging, just to take a bit of the stark, too new look. It looks far too new. So I'm going to go around the corners mostly. And as you can see, it is a really light colour, but I quite like it really. Just going to trim off these little bits. That's my don't like bits. Right, so that just gives you a bit of an aged look there. And then we do the same on this side. Just do it a bit like that. If any of you are watching this before 3 o'clock today, or in the next 15 minutes, a friend of mine, Junking with Gina, she is going to be having another one of her live tutorials, which we took in yesterday. Gina, it was such fun talking with you, and designed by, I've forgotten the other lady's name now, she didn't give us her name. And by Trunken, that was her name, designed by Trunken, who makes the most magnificent boho journals. Really need to. I'll try and get that link and put it on my site. Both of those ladies, we had a lovely time chatting. And Sharon Tilliard, she also joined in, so I'm hoping Sharon's back today. Very brave of you, Gina. I'm not sure I could do that, but it was really wonderful. So hoping to catch Gina again today. So you could join us as well. Right, so that's the inside. There we go. If I lift that up a bit, that's where we're going to have our 2 tuck spots. We've pretty much done the back there. I suppose I could, as I said, I do the distressing bit at the end, so you can do that. I'm not going to bore you with all of this, but I do like to just distress the edges, and I'll probably go over that again. So definitely want to do that. Just give it a bit of the aged look. It makes a huge difference, this distress ink. I do love it. And the same on the front there. So as I said, because mine is quite muted tones that I use, you can go over that on the spine on that again in a bit. Right, there's just a bit there I want to stick down, but I suppose I shouldn't worry because I'm going to put the butterfly on there now. Yeah. Okay, so on the front we are going to put a butterfly, one of my favorite things. Doesn't that make all the difference? So cut out a butterfly. I do get cut out butterflies from books, and well, I've got a printout as well that I got online. Let's just make sure all of that's right up to the bits there. That looks good. And we'll just position that like that. And the body. Don't like cutting up butterflies' bodies though, and I cut the feelers off, so I'm sorry. Right, and then I like to use these, which I think just add a little bit of, not bling, but you know, just makes it look pretty. So we'll stick that over its head. There we go. Wipe it off. Alright, so we stick that, oops, stick that down there. All the noise that you can hear at the back are the young children at the park, so if that's, you're wondering what that is, it's not my children. Okay, and then of course we can fill that in with any of the bits and pieces that you want to put in there, and I'll show you mine. I've put in various things, Tracy Fox's faux tea cards, or bits and pieces that I've had from whatever, you know, various kits. Here's another, I think that's from Antique Papery. So those all fit into there. This is just one of these little, I've hand torn that from that Hackney & Co paper pad, one of the pages in there. So, oops, and you get, just arrange them. Okay, so you can put whatever you want in there. That really is the front of that card. The inside here, I'll show you the altered paper clips in a minute. Rolodex cards. And at the back here, it's just a case of taking one of these cards, fitting a tab on the top, and sliding it in there. I like this card. This is from old ARTYmaze. I've backed it onto another piece of paper, scrap paper, also ARTYmaze from the spring collection. This is also from her spring collection, which I found lovely. And just to show you, I won't waste your time to show you how to put a tag bit on. That will just go in there and really show, sort of frame that picture really nicely. So I'm not going to show you how to do that, but that just gives you an example of what we do. We'll be here all day. So that's that. And then of course, lastly, let's just put that aside. What I've got is are these Rolodex dies. I got these second hand, so I don't know where they come from. They only arrive just like this. I use these in my Cricut, but you could use them in any of your big shots or any of your die cutting little machines, and you know, the hand ones. And these cut out really nicely, and I had 2 of these like that. So that's how I make Rolodex cards. I don't think Rolodex cards are available readily in the UK, so I was fortunate to find this. And I picked that die up. I don't want to give you, make you, it was really cheap, let's say. I didn't pay more than £1 for it, I don't think. It was somebody selling off stuff from their stash. So what I'm going to quickly do here is just show you how I sort of collage these. I'm just going to see how much time we have. Let's just see how much time I've been talking. Can't see, but it looks like quite a long time. But really, this is just a case of collaging bits and pieces, and then as you can see, I've stitched across there. So I'll show you how I do one. Let's just take the butterfly one over here, and basically it's taking bits of scrap. Here's a little bit of fabric that I have. Cut it like that, make a little nip there, tear it. I just play around with these. It's nothing, and I've got a pile of little scraps next to me. It's just about playing around, really. I just look and I think, okay, well, let's take that. I tear a lot with my fingers, like this. And it's a case of, well, I think that can go there. And back to my other scraps. And gosh, the kids are quite loud today. Would be because I'm trying to record. It's just a case of putting things together. So that there, that there. Yeah. Look for some music paper. Oh, in this instance I like quite pale, so it's just a case of, don't want neat edges, so we'll just, whoops, a bit loud now, sorry about that. Take that, put that over there, that over there. I think that looks a bit wide, so we make more scraps. That can go underneath. Yeah, that can go a bit higher. There we go, and that's how I put together that. Again, just getting one of your butterflies or something else that I want to stick on. You can use a little bit of gauze underneath that. So I've got a pile of things here, bits and bobs. Just this is the scrap pile. And then it's a case of, this is tea dyed. Just pull a bit of this off. Let's cut a bit off. You know, it's all about different textures, isn't it? So there we go. I want it arranged how I want it. Obviously I'd glue this down, but this is how I sort of plan it out before I glue it down. Sometimes I take a photo because I can't remember what I've done. I'm sure we can all relate to that one. Right. And there you go. Alright, so that would be that. It's as simple as that. So there you go. Oh, I've missed my little flower. I cut out loads of flowers. Here you can see an example of them. Sometimes black and white, sometimes all sorts of sizes. It's just nice. I think it just adds to it to have a little flower at the bottom there. I think that one looks quite nice, really. That one's a bit smaller. Quite like that. That was the first one I took out, so that was quite lucky. Right, and then the last thing is, if you have a look, these little words here, I thought I'd just mention that to you. I've got a little jar. Love these. These are my stamps. I kept this in case I've ever got a, you know, people ask you things all the time. This is a clickable stamp set. I don't know if you can see, it's made by Contact USA, but I got it through Amazon. And really, these are so amazing to use. What you do is you click them together. So here I've created Bloom, and you don't have to do them one by one. They space everything for you. They don't go askew. I really like these, so I click all of these. You can see all the different ones that I've been doing. It's so easy. I really love these. I recommend them. Get them in different sizes, different fonts. You can get capital letters if you want, but this works well for me. And then what I do is, so let's just put that back. I take this is my Edith Holden offcuts that I've trimmed off paper, or any of my tea dyed strips of paper that go into my scraps pile. I use those because they already are naturally discolored, and I make a whole pile of them. And as you can see, if we want to have Bloom, there it is. or Beauty, whichever you want. I make a whole bunch in advance while I've got the letters planned out, and then I can just trim them and distress it like that. And there we have our word, as simple as that. Oh, that one's a bit skew. Right, so, and that just, I think, just finishes it off. You could put it at the top there as well, or you could just put it straight across one of these, half on, half off, whatever you want. Alright, so I'm going to take that aside. I'm not going to do any more now. I think this has been quite long. It's probably going to take me 3 hours to download this. Okay, so there we have it. That's the front. That's what we did on the inside. That's where you're going to put in your Rolodex cards. Okay, that go in there. You can put any cards. I've actually taken from that same Hackney book. I'm going to take 2 of the cards. One white, one yellow. There we go. I'm going to use my trusty corner punch. So there we go. Nice quality paper again, and of course it has this lovely backing. So there you go. You can see that. Lovely quality. I really like this paper pad. So I've just cut those out in advance, so you can just stick these underneath whichever way you choose. So let's see, we'll put them in there like that. Okay, for the middle bit, it's just a case of measuring up your envelope. I think I took 4 sheets of my tea-dyed paper, sized them up there. You can see they're just slightly shorter on each side and around the sort of perimeter. I've just stamped a little butterfly there and sewn them straight down the middle, even when skew, down there in the middle of that, just to secure that there. So that's what you're going to do there. And then on the back, I've taken the other one out. Gosh, there's a big mess here now. Right, so you're going to sew in your notepad section there. This is the back, and as I explained, you're going to put in your card, so you can position that for the best position. We were going to talk about, I've just put a bit of clustering again there. If you have a look, just a little remnant of fabric I've folded with a bit of lace and a little bit of calico actually, which I've just stamped on. So again, it's just putting little bits together in the corner if you want it. Anything goes, or you could just put another butterfly there. And again, I've got loads of those. You know, you could put something, what have we got? The blue's too bright, I think. Don't know, let's see. I think that could go there, or something far lighter. So the choice is yours. That's too light, I think. But yeah, that could go there. Or you could just put a little cluster, as I said, like I've done over there. And that is our altered card tutorial. Oh, of course, another one of these can go in here. Or, better still, one of these that you make up with a tab already could also fit in there. I think that looks quite good. Okay, so that is our altered card, and of course once it's finished you put in your bits and pieces in the front, and there you have it. Okay, and then the very last thing to do is I've used, this is a closure, my crunched up, or crinkle, it's really crinkle, isn't it? So you just use a bit of crinkle seam binding. And there you have it. There you go. So that's it, everybody. I hope that was helpful. If you like the tutorial and you want me to do some more tutorials, I'd be really appreciative if you could leave a comment. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so and click that little bell so you can get any future notifications. I hope it wasn't too long. It probably was, but I hope I hope that I could do something creative that you guys are going to try as well. Let me know what you're working on, and press the like button or the dislike button if you didn't like it. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.